Welcome back to the What's He On About podcast. This is episode 9. And we've had a bit of a Christmas break. We've been well fed, but it's time to come back. It's time to return, and we're back bigger than ever. Today's episode, it has Australia versus India's fourth test review as Kohli barges through the young Sam Constas. How embarrassing was that? And India slumps to their defeat. South Africa, Pakistan, their first test came to an incredible final day. We're going to dive into that one. And then England's ODI squad was released. My predicted 11 is going to come your way. And we're going to end the episode with the Numpty of the week in the cricketing world, that is. So strap yourselves in, get yourself a little snack, and enjoy the return as you ask yourself, what is he on? Australia and India battled once more in Melbourne this time, and it was an exceptional test match. Day one belonged to Australia, with Sam Constas ramping the living daylights out of Jasprit Bumrah, but he did fall in the end of day four. That was Jasprit Bumrah got him in the end, but it shows that Bazball really is the way, doesn't it? Sam Constas came out, ramped him, scooped him, smashed him over his head, and then in the third innings, tried to play some proper shots and got bowled. And Bumrah had his own back. We're going to come on to Virat Kohli's. Oh, God, what even was that? Embarrassing stuff from Virat Kohli. We're going to come on to that later. And Steve Smith, he got a big knock, didn't he? I mean, he really is back. And what I think is astonishing is he's got a couple hundreds in the series now. And I wouldn't regard this bloke as in form. I really don't think he is really hitting it how he wants to be hitting it right now, And I just think Smith is showing how unbelievable he is by the fact he's out of form and he's getting big hundreds in important moments as well. And it just really does show, I say this through gritted teeth, that this guy really is an Australian legend. And to do that on the Boxing Day test, get 140 is seriously legendary stuff. But talking of a legendary innings, Nitish Kumar Reddy, where did he come from? I mean, he hit a magnificent 100 in India's first innings just to give India a bit of a sniff in this game, really just keep them clinging on. And Jasprit Bumrah came on day four and tore through the Aussie batters if it wasn't for Nathan Lyon and a bit of Labuschagne holding it up. But Jasprit Bumrah has shown that he once again is world class. And it came down to the final day, didn't it? Australia knew 330 wasn't going to be enough, so they tried to keep batting in the morning, but that didn't end well. And India had about 330 odd to 40 to chase, and I just don't know what they were doing. I honestly thought they had enough time. There's players in that team that are fourth innings specialists that know exactly how to chase it, and they just shut up shop. I mean, I just don't think they're going to get a better chance than this in the at the SCG come the new year. But I just didn't see the point in them blocking out for the draw. I know they got 10 overs away, but Rishabh Pant, what was he doing? He was desperate to get involved with some Bazball. He blocked it out for ages. He had 30 off almost 100 balls and then gets caught hitting a shot three-quarters of the way to the boundary, gets caught by the deep man, and it was just a shocking look, wasn't it? And it's just a shame that India just felt like they didn't quite have a plan. And yes, they wanted to bat out for the draw, but I just don't think that was the way. I thought their team is just set up to chase and bat beautifully in those later stages, and they just didn't unlock that. And I was really gutted to not see them go for it. Obviously, it was a great test match, but I really think India could have done better and they could have got more out of the game, 100%. Now, Virat Kohli's actions were embarrassing. To barge a 19-year-old on debut in the Boxing Day test, it just shows he's trying to cling on to this fight. Constas was showing he's probably batted better than Kohli has done all series, other than that first test match knock. But I just think it's embarrassing. He's clinging onto the fight. He's trying to feel like he's still involved when really I don't really think he is. And if you look at his stats for the series, other than that 100, he's been caught every single time he's batted. He's been caught behind square, so in the slip cordon or by the wicketkeeper. And other than his 100, his other six scores have been 5, 7, 11, 3, 36, and 5. And it's a shame. I really think his career is just. I don't want to say it's gone too far because he's still obviously got that 100 in him, but I really don't want him to lose his reputation. And I feel like he's starting to slip down that slope, especially with the Barger and Constas. I just think he's clinging on to something he doesn't really think he has anymore, which is sad to see for such a great. But hopefully, we can see one last hurrah for Virat Kohli. So now talking of players under pressure, Rohit Sharma. I've had a look through his stats. He's averaging 6 this series. I know he came in, wasn't available for the first test, but Rohit Sharma, I know he's better than this. He's obviously better than in the shorter formats of the game, but we'll want to see him in the test stuff, don't we? He's averaging 40 for India in the tests, but we need to see more from him. In addition to this, on the other side of the playing pitch, Mitchell Marsh is averaging 10 with only one score in double digits from his 7 innings, and he's hardly bowling. So there's a lot of pressure on that guy. We know how good Cameron Green is. I believe he might be injured at the minute, but Mitchell Marsh, you've got to put in a big shift in this final test to state your claim in that Aussie side. But it's been a thrilling series with some magnificent performances, and it's still all to play for come the SCG in January. Now, an absolute belter of a test match in South Africa, between South Africa and Pakistan. Now, not many watched the first few days, but that last day had people gripped all over the world. And South Africa needed 148 to win. They'd scored 300 odd in the first innings, and 148 looked incredibly achievable. However, come the end of day 4, South Africa had slipped to 27 for 3, and Mohamed Abbas bowled every over that evening and came out in day 5 and bowled every over possible from the same end in that fourth innings. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. So South Africa started the day 27 for 3, and Abbas's absolutely mammoth effort earned himself 6 wickets to bring South Africa from 27 for 3 to 99 for 8. And it was set up to be an astonishing finish. Could Pakistan win it? They needed 50 to win with 2 wickets to go. But Rabada and Jansen held firm. And then at 15 to win, Shan Masood had a big decision to make. And he ends up throwing the ball to someone who hadn't bowled all innings. The poor Amir Jamal. And he comes on for his first over. South Africa need 15 to win. And Jamal, his over goes for 11. Meaning that South Africa now needed 4 to win, and of course, Abbas is bowling at the other end, and not even his greatness was enough to halt South Africa. So South Africa went on to win the test match by just those 2 wickets. Astonishing final stand there from Rabada and Jansen, and it means that South Africa have earned their place in the World Test Championship final at Lord's this summer to play most likely Australia or India. That should be a great test match, and South Africa are deserving of that place in the side. Now, England's ODI squad looks absolutely phenomenal. But could that lack of 50 overs be a concern for England? We're not playing enough, and do we think that that could bring rust into the game for England? But I don't think so. It's a tricky team to select, especially without what I feel a genuine pace all-rounder in that team. I don't think Jamie Overton is our pick, unfortunately. But let's see how I've set up this team. There's no room for Bethel, unfortunately. But opening the batting is Phil Salt and Ben Duckett. Phil Salt, he's one of the best white ball players in the world right now. That's absolutely unquestionable. And Duckett, he averaged 61 in the ODI series versus Australia in September. Number 3, I've got Joe Root. His ODI stats just mean that he has to bat at 3. He always batted at 3 in the past, and just Root holding anchor, holding firm at number three. Just there's no better place for him. Even if he wants to bat at four, I do think Root's best at three. Now, four, five, and six. I've got a mixture of lads here, and it's Brook, Butler, and Livingston. They're the three I'm going to put in there. Bethel, it's obviously someone who can sub in for one of those guys, but Brook's last three scores in ODIs have been 110 not out, 87 and 72, so we can't leave him out. Butler, not leaving him out, are we? And Livingston, he captained the side in the West Indies this winter, and he's got a magnificent match-winning 124 not out. So those three, I think, are pretty set on to be the four, five, and six. I assume it will probably be Brook, Livingston, Butler, but Butler could obviously bat wherever he wants. He's the captain. Now, at number seven, I wanted to put a genuine pace all-rounder, but we're going to have to go with Atkinson and Cast. They're great pace bowlers, but as all rounders, it does make that tail look long. And these two, they've been brilliant in the Test stuff, haven't they? And actually, both played really well in the ODI stuff as well. And Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, and Adil Rashid make up that three-pronged, all-out pace and spin attack. And it's just astonishing, isn't it? You can't leave any of those last three out. Jofra Archer and Mark Wood, if they're fit, are unbelievable. Can't leave them out in a heartbeat. And Adil Rashid at number 11. He's legendary, isn't he? But to come in for those guys, I've got Saqib Mahmood who could come in at that 9 and 10 spot, and I trust that Adil Rashid's going to bowl all the way through the tournament. There's going to be some spinning decks out there, and Livingston can hold up a few overs, and maybe Bethel could come in as well to bowl a bit of spin. It's a shame for Bethel. He's worked really hard. He's done well in the ODI setup, but this team is just it's just too good to fit that guy in, unfortunately. I reckon they could go on and win the Champions Trophy, but first we've got a few ODIs against India, in India. So that'll be a great test for the boys just to get off the rust in the 50 over competition. Now, finally, ending the episode, it's Numpty of the Week. Now, coming in at third, there's been a few Numpties, especially in Australia this week, and it goes to Pat Cummins. He thought he had a wicket, did old Pat Cummins. And the umpires did too. So the umpires reviewed it. Let me talk you through it. So Cummins has bowled quite a full ball outside off. The Indian batsman has edged it to second slip. Steve Smith, he's grabbed it. Good grab. And the umpires have gone, what's happened there? Is it a bump ball? Did the ball bounce before the bat or after the bat? Let's send it upstairs. So the umpires have sent it upstairs. And they've decided they've had a good look and they think the ball bounced after the bat. And I'll be honest, so did I. But Pat Cummins didn't. Now, this numpty, he went up to the umpires and he tried to review it again 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. And he was like, Pat, I've already reviewed it, mate. Can't review it again. So Pat Cummins tries to review a decision that's already been reviewed. And yeah, he looked like a bit of a numpty. But numpty number 2 in second place. It goes to Virat Kohli. Who else? I mean, it was absolutely numpty-like, wasn't it? To go and barge Sam Constas, who did not deserve it just because he was pumping Jasprit Bumrah around. Kohli tries to back up his mate Jasprit with a little barge. Ooh, have a little barge, you know. But no, Virat Kohli, it's absolutely out of the question. You can't be doing that. Not in the Test arena, not on Boxing Day. At least keep it non-contact. It's a non-contact sport. Virat, thought you've played this long enough. Now, the numpty of the week. The number 1 top spot. Now, it doesn't go to a player, it goes to a groundsman. It goes to the groundsman at the Queen's Sports Club, Bulawayo, for producing one of the all-time roads for the test match between Zimbabwe and Afghanistan. Now, the first 1.5 days was filled up by Zimbabwe getting to 586. That was a below par score on this deck because Afghanistan then batted for over 2 days and got themselves up to 699. By that point, there was 1 day left and Zimbabwe went out and gave it a bit of a whack on day 5. But what was astonishing is the Afghanistan cricket team got to 679 for 4, then lost the last 20 runs for 6 wickets. And I just think it's astonishing. So there you go. The coveted award, the prize, goes to the groundsman at Bulawayo in Zimbabwe for creating one of the all-time roads. There you go. There's the return of the What's He On About podcast. That was episode 9. And I really hoped you asked yourself, I hope you enjoyed the episode as well, but I hope it got answered this week of what was he on about.